Did you think I would end off the year without talking about this thing? This is the 20th Pokemon movie. This is a major, massive accomplishment. And even though some of these movies have little to middling quality, this is still a major achievement for the franchise as a whole. And yeah, they're just dumb little shonen anime movies. If it has to be in any genre, to clarify it, it's still an accomplishment in any form of media. It's sort of like when you reach 100 chapters in a long running manga, although this took 20 years. And, well, they knew this was going to be a big thing. There was a big push for this movie. And this was the first Pokemon movie to premiere in theaters since the black and white movies back in Generation 5. That was a while ago, people. And as well as this is the first movie to be displayed in full 4K. So, what to do for a 20th movie? Do you go back and do what you've always done and just make it bigger, better, uncut? I mean, you do have a wide variety of characters in this version of the anime to do something like that with. Do you make it one big epic again, like you try to do with the first movie and the third movie? Well, why not just go back to zero? Set everything back to the roots of the anime. Ash Ketchum getting his first Pokemon on his 10th birthday. It makes a lot of sense because by now a whole generation who might not be who might be into Pokemon might have never seen the original anime, or at least its first few episodes. I mean, that's pretty hard to go back and look at sometimes if you compare it to the newer anime. That's also the reason Ash is still 10. So basing a major anniversary movie on such an idea isn't a bad idea. Show people how Ash and Pikachu met again. This is still a pretty big thing. In fact, it might be the best. It might be the best idea than just doing another movie about running around with cute legendary Pokemon, like the last 16 movies have been. Yes, I counted them all. So yeah, this was a really great idea. So let's see if they stuck the landing or if they fell flat on their face. But before we do that, let's go over the plot a little bit more. So, our plot starts off with Ash Ketchum oversleeping and coming late to Professor Oak's laboratory to get his first Pokemon, Pikachu. From there, things go pretty much as you believe it would. Ash and Pikachu struggling to get along, being attacked by a large group of Spearow, and then forming a close bond in the aftermath as Ho-Ho flies overhead with a rainbow in the background. But here's where things start to change, because with Ho-Ho's appearance, there appears the Rainbow Feather. For those who don't know what this is an in-game item that's used to summon Ho-Ho for you to catch it. So Ash has managed to acquire this rare item. After obtaining it, Ash and Pikachu go on their journey as normal, collecting gym badges, before overhearing rumors of Entei, and then coming across two new characters, Verity and Soriel. If I'm pronouncing either of those wrong, I'm sorry. They join him as they journey to get more information about the legend surrounding Ho-Ho and the Rainbow Feather as they head to Mount Tensai in hopes of meeting legendary Pokemon. So let me just tell you my overall feelings about this plot. I actually do like it. The Ho-Ho thing in the original anime was something that was never really brought up again. It was only brought up minorly, bits and pieces here in the Johto part of it, but it was never really a major thing. Basically, Ho-Ho just showed up, and with Ho-Ho not really having any appearances in any of the other movies, or at least being a major thing in any of the other movies, this is Ho-Ho's first major theatrical appearance. And that's also a pretty important thing, because remember, Ash saw Ho-Ho in the anime on his first journey. Now that was, in the anime, nothing more than a giant tease to tell you there are more Pokemon out there than that you can imagine than the 150. Well, 151 because Mew was a thing, even though Mewtwo is ahead of Mew for some dumb reason. Either way, this Ho-Ho making his first theatrical appearance, being the focus of a movie all on its own. Well, not all on its own. Marshadows here. We'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, this was again a pretty great idea. So let's talk about that. Basically, the story going off to do its own thing after the first major story beat. It's not wrong. If it had followed the same plotline of the anime, it would have either have to force an ending or make up some weird ending anyway. So I'm not 100% opposed to the idea of using the same beginning, but then going off and doing her own thing. And again, as I said, this will be Ho-Ho's first major actual appearance, as well as somewhat dealing with the plot line that was never really technically started in terms of the original anime. What I was wondering while watching their previews was if this is a new tale, would it be any good? And, well, I say it is pretty good. While I do miss Brock and Misty as traveling companions, Verity and Soriel, again, I can't really pronounce Soriel's name appropriately for some reason, are a pretty good new duo of companions. If I had to say the weak link in the story, it will be the human villain Cross. He just feels like just another random asshat that's shown up in the anime multiple times. It's sort of like how Paul was originally portrayed when he was first shown up before they gave him some ounce of nuance later on. And while I do get his overall purpose, I just feel like his character is only a means to an end and not really someone that needs to be here. Just replace him with Team Rocket and you get the same thing. But there are a number of other changes, but I'll go over those. I won't go over every change, but let me go over what I believe are major changes to this whole story. First off, Cross is Ash's Charmander's original owner, instead of it being Damien, the Duke Devlin looking motherfucker. Secondly, Gary only makes appearances in the minor flashbacks, never really having a role in the movie as Ash's rival, as Ash doesn't really have a rival in this movie, outside of, I guess, Cross. Also, Ash doesn't receive a Pokedex on screen. He may have one, but he knows a Pokemon just by looking at it instead of having to rely on the Pokedex all the damn time like in the anime. Ash never really wears the rubber gloves that he has when he's dealing with Pikachu. You know, those giant pink things, which I feel is a very dumb thing for a dude handling a very volatile electric rodent. Ash never steals Misty's bike. Obviously, she never makes an appearance outside of, minor things here and there. Ash battles Erica as his third gym battle. We never really are aware who the other two were, but we can assume that one must have been Misty, and the other one could have been Brock or Lieutenant Surge. We just don't know. Also, Ash never catches any Pokemon outside of Charmander and Caterpie. And also, Charmander remains obedient to Ash instead of not listening, and Pikachu automatically knows Iron Tail, which is a move it didn't learn until Generation 3. You can say that a lot of things have been changed for this movie. Hell, Soriel and Verity carry around a Piplup and Lucario respectively. So yes, they do have Pokemon and techniques that are from later generations in this movie. Hell, Cross's main two Pokemon are a Dusk form Lycanroc and an Incineroar, with this movie being Incineroar's actual debut. I don't know how I feel about that, considering the fact that Incineroar in this movie runs around on its front hands and it kind of looks awkward sometimes. So let me talk about these movie changes for a minute. The movie's editor, and forgive me for pronunciation, Kunihiko Yuyama, if I said that right, I get a cookie. If I said that wrong, please don't hold it against me. He has stated this is an alternate universe where Ash received the Rainbow Feather upon the encounter with Ho-Ho. This makes sense considering the fact that Brock and Misty do appear in Sun and Moon anime, making allusions to their previous journey. So basically, this is in a parallel dimension, and this is something that the anime and the video games as a whole have been playing with for quite a while now, so it kind of all makes sense. This is just the story of another Ash Ketchum who just happens to have another Pikachu. With that in mind, I don't mind these changes, and while I do understand that certain sacrifices have to be made for the film, I feel having Ash only catch Caterpie and Charmander is a major shame. I have a feeling Ash should have caught his entire original iconic party, which included Pokemon such as Pidgeotto, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. That would have been even better. Even if they did get little screen time, it would have shown that Ash was a more competent trainer just going around with 3 Pokemon. Again, it's just something that feels a bit off, especially considering the fact this is supposed to be a big showcase of the original series, original Kanto. So having Ash only catch one of the starters feels like a major shame. I know that Ash's various Pokemon and his other traveling companions do appear in the closing credits, but I still feel it's a major waste of a movie. But speaking of Ash Ketchum, he's a much smarter character in this. While keeping his same jerky tendencies that he had in his first incarnation in the anime, he actually acts like a more decent trainer. He's a lot more eager for battles, similar to how he was in the X and Y saga, as well as he's a lot more knowledgeable about the world around him and Pokemon in general. Again, he's still kind of a jerk ass. I mean, his mom basically has to put out a call to every Pokemon Center in the land and say it's a major emergency for him to get a call from her, I mean, for her to get a call from him. But he's still a well-meaning kid who does genuinely love Pokemon, and that's where Ash's character feels at heart. The consequence of this is Team Rocket only feels like they're an extended cameo instead of actually doing much of anything in this movie. It's honestly a shame seeing them just run around behind Ash and Friends' trail without really having any major encounter with them. It's just Team Rocket's here because they kind of have to be. Again, it feels like an extended cameo doesn't really seem to go anywhere. They didn't really even have a role in the finale of this movie like they did in the third movie, where they had a similar role to the very end. It again feels like a shame, but honestly, considering the fact that Ash doesn't have the same history with them as he does in the anime, it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't make any major appearance here. But it's still kind of a shame that they made any appearances instead of just being a slight cameo and then fading into the background in order to continue the new stuff. Their comedy is appreciated, just not really needed. Now, I also want to mention something. This movie, the animation is just gorgeous. It's not done in the same style as the Sun and Moon anime, but in a style similar to the original anime if it had a 4K budget. The battles in this thing remind me of how energetic and fluid the battles of the third movie were. And I love every minute we get a cool battle action scene. And while some of the backgrounds are done in CGI, it honestly does kind of work in some cases, but in some cases it doesn't, like in previous incarnations. It's not as bad as a giant CGI folding castle in the second movie, but it still can be very noticeable if you pay attention too much. And speaking of unnecessary additions like Team Rocket, there's Marshadow. He does appear in this film from time to time, acting as sort of a watcher figure, as well as kickstarting a great big disaster for the climax. And yeah, we're gonna be getting into it. The oddity of the whole moment that the entire internet couldn't stop talking about for a minute. Now I kinda want this to cool down to be separated from that. Pikachu talking. Let's just get into that.
Pikachu, why won't you get in your Pokeball?
It's because I always want to be with you.
Pikachu, you...
So yeah, I just played the scene to give anyone who hasn't seen it context for everything I'm going to be talking about. So, this scene happens with Marshadow sending out a bunch of Pokemon and surrounding Pikachu and Ash in a mad fury after Cross steals the Rainbow Feather and tries to summon Ho-Ho himself. Basically, it's sort of acting as a guardian figure, and the Pokemon that are attacking are basically being mind-controlled by Marshadow. The Pokemon, all barrage the various humans that are there, so that's Ash, Cross, Varsity, Soriel, and the Pokemon Association president guy who's wearing Red's hat for some reason, as well as they're attacking their Pokemon, and this leads to an injured Ash pleading with Pikachu to go in the Pokeball so that it can be safe. This is when the scene happens and you see Pikachu talk. This moment is supposed to be somewhat sweet, and while it does come across as that, it still feels odd having Pikachu talk, especially with an obvious female voice. Now, I know that some people can use this excuse, well, it's using aura or psychic ability, something like that, as they've done in the previous anime. The thing about it is, it still is awkward because Pikachu's never displayed this ability before, even when we have revealed that Ash has some minor aura ability. Maybe Ash is using that ability to read Pikachu's mind or something, but it still doesn't explain why the voice is female. That's my biggest thing. Pikachu is a confirmed male Pikachu. It has the whole tail thing and everything. So why is the voice female? It would have felt better if they were going with the more young child voice, but this is clearly a voice that's very feminine. And I haven't heard the Japanese version, but I imagine it's the same way. Again, Pikachu is confirmed male Pokemon, so having it speak with a female voice just kind of feels odd and out of place. I also want to mention that this is the fourth time in this franchise, in this movie, that Ash has died in the movies. It is the 7th time in the overall franchise he's died, so Ash has come back almost as much as the Doctor by this point. Overall, a lot of things about the ending are odd, but I do find it to be somewhat enjoyable of an ending despite the odd feeling and Ash dying again. Personally, I say that Ash was brought back to life by Ho-Ho somehow, because it's the only thing that actually makes sense. It's the only way to make it make sense, like his other resurrections. Another thing I want to mention is this odd dream sequence Ash has, where he's in a world similar to our own, going to school and dealing with the boredom of daily life, while wishing to go on an adventure in another world. I want to mention this especially due to the fact that it just seems to be an odd, surreal bit of the movie, but this odd, surreal bit of the movie reminds me of the Digimon anime, specifically episode 21. For those of you who don't know, that's the episode after Metal Greymon first premieres, where Tai and Agumon are sent into the human world temporarily before going back and dealing with Demidevimon. I mean, basically they go back and then have to deal with Demidevimon in the hopes of just having split up. It's the overall direction and colorings. Everything is muted and feels out of place, grayscale, sort of like that whole episode. It just feels odd. And I don't say odd in a bad way, I mean odd in a good way. It's just a minor piece of the movie, but I kind of want to see more stuff like that. This is also the same coloration that they use when Ash is in the dead world, or however you want to say it. So, yeah, this whole thing does come back twice, and alright. And for those of you who care to know, the cameo appearance mother and daughter pair do appear in the movie, as they have in every movie up to date. They're just cameo appearances, and apparently they don't age, so they must be taking the same drugs Ash is on. So, what are my final thoughts on the movie? If I do have to say this, despite how I feel about the ending, I do feel this is one of the best movies so far. I still say that the third movie is my absolute favorite movie, but I do think this has become my second favorite. I have to rewatch a few to determine my ordering again, but this is still ranking pretty high to me. Having Ash have a form of agency in a plot makes it feel a lot better, instead of just Ash and friends having to be following someone else's journey, like in Keldeo or something like that. It makes the movie reach higher levels and becomes a lot more palatable. If I have to say anything, I would love to see Ash in this form return. And I would love to see the continuations of this alternate universe Ash, Alt-World Ash. I want this movie to set a new standard for the Pokemon movies. And while at the time of writing we are unaware of the next upcoming film, I do have to say I eagerly look forward to what it is, its inevitable reveal, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if they return to this universe again for Alt-World Ash for the 21st movie, but I have doubts that they will. So if this is the last time we'll see this version of Ash, I have to say it's been a very enjoyable ride so far. Hi guys, I just want to add a quick addendum to this video, because while I was doing the editing work for this, they announced and we got a little preview of the 21st movie, and yes, we will be returning to Alt-World Ash, and we're going to start calling this version of Ash and his journeys. And I don't know what's going on in this. Like, it's a very short preview trailer where Ash is shown in a different outfit than he was in the 20th movie. He still has Pikachu. He's wearing, I think, to be a different hat. And we see this weird mystery girl. I'll see if I can find an image of her, but I'm probably just going to use the teaser poster that we got where you can see her hair and her arm a bit. But yeah, we got this weird mystery girl who has her own Pokeball. We don't know if she has a Pokemon or not. I know the movie will involve the new mystical Pokemon that's in the code for Sun and Moon. I don't know its name, but yeah, the movie will somehow involve that Pokemon. But I have no idea what role it will function in this movie. I hope this movie is like the 20th movie, I Choose You, and the fact that it's still Ash's story, and he's not following someone around on their story. But it seems it might be we're following this girl who happens to be interacting with Ash. Because, you know, she's front in the poster and the teaser, she's this whole big mystery thing. She could just be a new travel companion for Ash, similar to how Verity and Sorrel were. and this is still Ash's story. I don't know. I don't know a lot of things. I do know that Ash does look older. Like, I know the director said that Ash is eternally 10, so I still have a high chance that he is 10 in this movie, but I don't know. It does feel like he's a bit older now, and I don't know if that'll play anything into the movie. I kind of hope it does, because I do want to see a story about an older Ash. This, like, maybe just by like 1 or 2 years. Come on, people, can we make him 12 or something? Please. Either way, this does look very intriguing. This animation is done by Studio Wit. I forgot who did the animation for the 20th movie, because that's kind of lost in the editing process. But from the trailer, it looks pretty good. It looks the same as the 20th movie, which I stated earlier in this video does look very good. That's my early impressions on what we have of about a 30-second teaser trailer. And I do have to admit, I am looking forward to what the 21st has, as more stuff will start rolling out, because it's premiering in less than a year on July 21st. Like, in America, we're going to get it in about a year, but, you know, it's still a big major thing that this is, still going to follow Alt-World Ash. I think the reason that we're not having a traditional Sun and Moon anime is the fact that that might be too large of a cast for them to base an anime around, and they don't want to have people complaining that Ash's traveling companions didn't really do much. It's just probably easier for them to just have Ash in a different universe and have him dealing with the new mythical Pokemon that way to tease for the games. This also marked the final Sun and Moon anime, because there are only 2 mythical Pokemon in that, and we'll be ramping up for the next generation, Generation 8. Because, there's only this one Pokemon, unless they pull out another Sun and Moon on us, which I doubt they will, considering the fact that they admit the next game will be on the Switch. So, yeah, 2018 is looking like a pretty decent year in terms of the Pokemon franchise. In terms of everything else, it's a dumpster fire, but 2018 is going to be a pretty good year for the Pokemon franchise. As 2017, 2016 were for it. So, yeah, I will be talking about the 21st movie when it finally drops and we get some more stuff on it. I just kind of want to make this quick addendum, unscripted thing, because I know someone's probably going to mention in the comments that, oh, well, they just announced the 21st movie, blah, blah. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen the trailer. I'm talking about it. Just to let you all know that I have seen it. I am talking about it when it does come to American shores on probably Disney XD. I'm still not used to it being on Disney XD. I'm still used to it being on Cartoon Network, but, live and learn, all that stuff. Pokemon's on Netflix now anyway, and there's the Pokemon TV app. So, yeah, I will be seeing you in the next video. And for the Pokemon Movie Marathon, if you're specifically looking for that, I will be seeing you next year. So, till then, everybody, see you next time.